You really got to focus on going after that bingo effect. Really try to find an area where you can take your particular expertise, which gives you a competitive advantage, and you're going to stand out, and align it with something you're really excited about.
Welcome to Built to Scale, where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs just like you about what it takes to build a thriving business without sacrificing your personal life. My name is Craig Severinsen, and I help people make more money working with better clients while also working less. And now I'm sharing it all with you. Let's dive in.
What is up, everybody? Craig Severinsen here, and this is episode 15. And I'm really excited for the content today because we have Elysabeth Alfano of VegTech Invest on the show, and she talks about some really amazing things. So 3 things I want to point out to you. Number 1, she talks about managing an email list to sell really high-end offers. And she, at one point, managed a really big list, thousands of people, and was selling very, very high-priced things, and she talks about how she did that. Number 2, we talk about how trust and relationships are critical for building your business. Number 3, we talk about how being in front as a thought leader has really influenced her business and helped her to grow really, really quickly. Now, we dive way back into Elysabeth's past, starting with one of her very first entrepreneurial experiences as an art gallery owner. We talk about that whole journey all the way up to today with her VegTech Invest company that she's running now. And it's an incredible journey to see all the things that she has done over the course of her career. And I want you to really think about, even though she's got a different industry than you, how can you apply this to yourself? Because you can find what is your radical difference between you and your competition and really apply that. And when you align with your message and your offer and your business and that platform that is different, that you really believe in, that's when you really get traction. So there's a lot to learn from her, even though she's in maybe a completely different industry than you're in. I'm really excited about this. Let's dive in. So we're going back a little bit, right? I understand that. And so the details might be fuzzy, but you've got this email list, you're growing this email list of like thousands of people, and you've got to have this high level of trust because you're selling such a high level item. How are you going about growing that, and how do you go about building those relationships? What was your personal philosophy, or how did you do it?
So when you're buying something like an art piece that is so personal to you and means something to you and really only you, it's a very personal decision, even more so than buying a car, although the experience is sort of similar. And when you buy this kind of very high-end, very bespoke, and very luxurious, in a way, item, you really want to have trust with the person who's selling it to you. So this is going to sound crazy, but that first business I ran for 10 years, and it was really a business model based on individual and personal relationships. And I stress that because you think, well, this isn't really the same if you're Nestle. But in a way, it is, particularly in today's world of social media. You have to be out there building trust, large or small, every day, not just for the big luxury items, but also for that CPG brand. I don't have to bring it back to CPG. I know there's other kinds of businesses out there, but I'm just saying, while it's very tangible in an art gallery setting where you maybe sell 5 things a month, you're looking at maybe talking with 4 people a day on the phone, and you're maybe entertaining 10 people a day who come through the door. 50% of them are just killing time waiting for coffee. So it is manageable to develop those relationships because there aren't that many of them. But still, in today's world where people are demanding transparency and they want to know about those brands from top to finish, I tell my consulting clients at Plant Powered Consulting, you have to build that trust individually with the clients. You have to be out there on social media, developing that relationship, and you have to be taking a stand, letting people know what you believe in, who you are every day. And that's not just that brand, it's that entire company from the top to the person who answers the phone in customer service. What are the brand values and mission? What do you stand for? And so people can trust you. You have to show up as you every day.
So when you're talking about that particular business and that particular time in your life, when you're talking about building trust with those people, does that look like, are you emailing them like the list on a regular basis, or are you individually looking at, hey, I know these people, and so I'm reaching out to them individually? Or like, how did your communication look in terms of trying to keep your audience engaged with you, trying to keep your email list warm, I guess? How did that look?
And it's funny, and I'll share that in just a second. I did it for the art gallery. I talked to my clients about it at Plant Powered Consulting for larger CPG brands. And it's exactly what I'm doing now with VegTech Invest, which is my newest endeavor. And we'll probably talk about it at some point. You have your mailing list. So of course that would be called, mass mailing. But then I don't even want to use the word working your mailing list, because it has to be personal to you as well. You have to be authentic in your desire to reach out to them. You're going back to that mass list on an individual basis, and hopefully you've carved out your list so you know that these people are interested in this kind of financial product. These people just want to talk and learn about the secular trends that we're experiencing now in the food supply system, and why the food supply system is going to be changing. So hopefully you've carved out your mailing list so it's in smaller sections, so you understand who's driven by what and how you can build a relationship around that commonality you have.
The feeling I'm getting from you is like, it's like you have a friends is maybe the wrong word, but it's like a relationship with that you are providing some sort of information helpful with, right? Like you're being really proactive in terms of like, I know what you like, and I'm bringing this information because I know you like it.
Yes, exactly right. You're being helpful. You're being informative. You're adding value. You're being a thought leader. You're being authentic. You're being you. Bring your personality. You're doing all the things you want to do to have that relationship be more than a sales call. Because everybody hates a sales call.
Yeah,
Me included. I don't want sales calls. So nobody wants that.
So on that note, do you think there's a balance between like emailing for sales, or is it all just relationship and the sales come? Like what's the balance between sales and relationship building? I guess in the email list, but also just in business in general.
Tricky business. Yes. I think every company is going to be different, and you're going to decide there. Certainly, in a way, you're always selling, because if you're authentic, you believe it from head to toe, what you're selling, what you're talking about. So for example, what I do now, everybody knows me as a thought leader in the plant-based space. I'm constantly out on social media interviewing the CEOs and thought leaders on my podcast, Plant-Based Business Hour. I'm constantly writing thought pieces in the media, and I'm constantly interviewed in the media too. So I'm always talking about these things that are meaningful to me, and it's palpable and informative, so people know it, they know it's real and authentic, and then they learn something from it. At the same time, I'm always open to clients coming for Plant Powered Consulting, or as I say, I have a new endeavor, VegTech Invest. I'm always interested in talking to people about companies in the public market, and just so that they understand these business trends happening in the plant-based business world. So I think it's hard to draw a hard line and say, this is a sales call and this one is just a friendly call. They're both. I think they're both all the time, is my long answer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. So you've got an art gallery, and now we've switched industries completely.
Yeah, we're in plant-based innovation. I mean, all these companies that are innovating with plants to create a better and more efficient food supply system for sustainable consumption, even cultivated meat, for example. So the end product is meat from the cells of animals, not animals that have been in factory farms for 18 months in their own feces living next to the other animals, but just the cells from the animals, which, given the right ingredients like sugar, a plant derivative, sugar and water and amino acids, et cetera, you can grow the exact piece of meat that you want without wasting water, using land, cutting down trees, deforestation, et cetera. So this very efficient system, again, based on plants, or at least one plant ingredient has been used to really foster the technology in the process. So we are investing in those companies that are innovating with plants to create animal-free products for sustainable consumption. Now, what's so interesting is, a long time, what was driving plant-based consumption was health concerns. But a research study by Innova Market Research recently has come out to say that planetary health is even more important than personal health for people in driving their choices.
Interesting. So how do you go from the art industry to the plant innovation industry? What was the journey there? Or what was the factor there that went from one to the other?
Yeah.
It seems like a big jump, right?
It seems like it because we've skipped over a lot of time. So, I really want to stress for people, the art gallery was, I got out of business school and I worked for first IBM headquarters in Europe. And then I worked that was right before business school. Then right after business school, I worked for the Kellogg Corporation. I was brand manager on Special K and Frosted Mini Wheats, both of those brands at the same time. What's great about brand management, for people who maybe don't know, is that you are really doing everything. You're not just doing marketing promotions, but you're doing budgeting, you're doing factory production, not just the production of the food, but also the production of the packaging for the food. So you really are running that business from start to finish. So working with Kellogg, packaged goods in food, which is wonderful. And then that entrepreneurial experience of running the business from start to finish was really wonderful. But I realized that I wasn't going to be good at politics, and I was never going to get good at politics. So I thought I might as well get out of Fortune 500 companies. And that's when I started my own business. So I started that art gallery. So all this is to say, I started that art gallery when I was 26. I'm about to be 55. So, big difference there. I got out of the art gallery in my 30s, basically because I just felt like I could do this forever. I'm already an expert in this field, but then my life would be really, I don't want to say boring, but it would lack the richness and diversity I was seeking. I didn't want to stay in the same industry for 50 years. I wanted my life to be filled with richness. Of course, I care about money. I really do. I love money, but I care about experience equally. There's not enough money in the world to make me do a job I don't like. So I was loving my art gallery. Of course, it was profitable for me. So it's really what set me up for the rest of my life to be able to do other things. So it was a very profitable business, but I had done it and I had mastered it and I wanted to move on to new experiences. So when I left that, I dabbled in, and I think this is an interesting exercise for people, because more than anything, I get this question of, you've done so much in your life. How did you decide which path to take at the fork in the road? And why did you create a fork in the road when you were there being successful? Why didn't you just stay there and be quiet? But I wanted, as I say, the currency I care about more than money is experience and time, right? I want to make the most of my time here on the planet, and that means rich experience. So I did some soul searching when I left the gallery, and I dabbled in other kinds of creative entrepreneurial experiences. But ultimately, back to our relationship question, I realized in all these entrepreneurial experiences, if I wasn't out in front meeting with the client, the business wasn't going to do well. So for as much as I wanted to design products, and I was working in the fashion industry, designing different products, I was never meeting the client face to face. I wasn't in front of the client. And I just thought, okay, there's not the human connection that's working here. So I stepped back from really going down the next entrepreneurial path, and I went into investing just because my first business had been successful, and I wanted to maintain that financial freedom so that I could continue to seek out these rich experiences. So I started doing hobby journalism, I'll say. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't study it. I just started a small blog post and podcast, and that really blew up in a way that I didn't expect. It wasn't a moneymaker. I didn't set out to get sponsors, none of that. But I was able to make incredible connections that I never thought would come through for me. Reese Witherspoon, Mark Ruffalo. Just the interviews I was able to get, it was sort of surreal. Peter Singer, the author of Animal Liberation. Anyway, I was able to get these really big people around the same time. I was educating myself about the deleterious effects of animal agriculture on the planet. I was aware, but now in a more profound way, of like how a factory farm actually works and how much I didn't want to be associated with that. So I started interviewing people on this subject. And then I realized, oh, there's an enormous business potential here. This is a completely new sector. It's going to blow up like digitization. Everyone's going to shift around the globe because we're running out of land and we're running out of water. But we're increasing our population from 7.6 billion to 9.8 billion, according to the UN. But you're not getting any more of the natural resources that we've been wasting in an inefficient business model. So I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer, right? That's what business does, is it solves a problem at a large scale for new technology. So I was like, okay, now I get it. I'm going to be able to use my business skills and my new journalism skills and work in an area that I'm passionate about. It's like bingo. It's just like, oh my God, H7, woohoo. I mean, my passion meets my skill set. I'm like bigger than life.
So I'm seeing a common thread to that whole story of certainly relationships, but also maybe it's your personality or maybe it's your skill set, but that kind of like brand management and really having an eye towards marketing and image, maybe is a way to put it. How has branding, whether it's personal branding or branding of your business, how has that played out in your journey? Because let me ask that question, then I'll follow up with it. I don't want to step on my own question there.
It comes naturally to me. So I'm a natural public speaker, and now, as considered an expert in the plant-based business space, I do an enormous amount of speaking, even recently at the United Nations for their small and medium-sized business social compact leaders conference. So I do an enormous amount of public speaking. It comes naturally to me. I love doing it. And I'm very much of an outgoing person in that particular way. So for personal brand management, living my values in a way that's productive and I'm hoping moves the needle for people, the planet, and animals is in my DNA. So that sort of branding of me personally just works out because it's right there for me, if you will. I don't know if that's a great answer, but it comes very naturally to me. Now the rest, branding the rest, the businesses, et cetera, is trickier. If you're not working in a sector that you believe in and that really, fries your vegan burger, every day is going to be like lifting heavy furniture. So my recommendation here for everyone is they try to find their personal brand or branding in their business. You really got to focus on going after that bingo effect. Really try to find an area where you can take your particular expertise, which gives you a competitive advantage, and you're going to stand out, and align it with something you're really excited about.
I find that really interesting because, you said you had a profit. I think this is hard either way you look at it, but you had a profitable business and you said, you know what, this isn't the lifestyle I want. It's been great, but it's time to close that chapter, move on to something different. And I think that lots of times, even if we're struggling and it's not aligning with our business or with our life, and our business aren't aligning. And we're like, no, we just got to chase the money. And the truth is that if you get that alignment first, everything else kind of falls into place. Because it doesn't matter. You said there's not enough money to make you do a job that you hate, right? Well,
right.
It's kind of like if you chase the money, it just doesn't work. It doesn't matter how good the math is. It doesn't matter how sound the business plan is. When all you're doing is chasing money and you hate everything else about it, you drag your feet, you self-sabotage, and you don't make it through. So it's like you've got to have that balance between, I believe in this, I'm aligned with this, I'm going for it, and the money makes sense at the same time. Like, it's not an either or. It could be both, but you got to have that passion. You can't get rid of it or it won't work.
Yeah, you won't be in it for the long haul. So to finish out the marathon, not the sprint, you have to find that passion, something that is meaningful. And usually it comes with a sense of purpose as well. I find this particularly true for Gen Z and millennials. So, really aligning with that sense of purpose, gets you through the hard times, because every business, even if you love it, even if it's profitable, every business is, filled with potholes. I mean, business is tough. It's tricky. It's tricky business, actually. So, that passion helps get you through, I think.
Completely. So let's focus in on the speaking and for a minute, because you're podcasting, you're speaking, you're writing. It's all kind of a brand building out in the public thing. How has that affected your business? Those activities in particular?
They've really helped my business because they solidify the branding. So I'm out there showing up as me, as I like to say, every week, at least in the public eye. So I'm just reinforcing who I am, the topics that I cover, my area of expertise, the topics that I consult on, my knowledge of the industry, my connections in the industry. I'm just reinforcing these every week. And the reason I can produce content on that kind of cadence is because I love it. I do it every week, and I show up every week, and I can only do that because I love it. So that branding, particularly if you're in the marketing world, right, as I am, that's the majority of the kind of consulting that I do for Plant Powered Consulting. And I do just general sector knowledge and strategy for businesses to launch in a sector, et cetera. But if you're in marketing, then you've got to be focusing on branding, and that value added content that others can consume should be a big part of your marketing plan.
So Elizabeth, before we wrap up here, tell us where can people find you, and what are you up to now if people want to maybe get involved with you?
Yes, that's wonderful. So people can always find me on LinkedIn, Elysabeth Alfano. Please go there. But if you'd like more information, you can go to VegTechInvest.com. Happy to have anyone go there. You can look at the website. You can find me. What we're doing now is we're helping people understand the sector, and they may want to invest. That would be up to them. Of this plant-based shift that's happening, we do believe we're at the beginning of a secular trend where we'll see the entire shift of the global food supply system. And that's going to be fueled by plant-based innovation and technology, these companies that are innovating with plants to replace animal products for sustainable consumption. So we really believe that we are on the cusp of something major there. And if people want to understand that, or even understand how to be a part of this sector in the public markets, they can go to VegTechInvest.com and find out information there. And I'll say it's very exciting to be kind of the first player, at least according to our research, what we see, the first player in the public markets talking about this subject. So it's very interesting. And if we ever do a follow-up interview, like in a year, I'll be able to look back at this interview and I'll say like, we were talking about the secular trend, and very interesting to see where we go.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we'll wrap it up there. We'll see you later.
Wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for listening. If this episode helped you, share with someone who needs to hear it as well. For more information on how you can work with me and great resources for your business, head over to builttoscalehq.com. Join us next time for Built to Scale. And until then, take some fast, focused, imperfect action. I believe in you. I got your back. We'll talk soon.